These days, the creators in the art commentary community don't stir up nearly as much conflict amongst themselves as they did in the past. Granted, the community has sort of ship of Theseus itself in that most people involved in the community 5 or so years ago have been gradually run off the platform and replaced by smaller creators. I'm sure there are some people who have stuck around, but most of the bigger players are as good as gone. Between the incessant debating and the disgusting behavior that defined the art commentary community and the commentary community in general in the early 2020s and before, I can almost definitively say that the worst part of it all was the audience, or more specifically, the fact that there was an audience for it at all. You would be hard pressed to try and argue that the success of commentary as a whole does not rely upon turning somebody's misfortune into a spectacle. If you decide to make a video about an internet predator and you include the stories of the victims, no matter how tactfully you handle the topic, no matter what your intention was in creating the video, by uploading your video online, you have created a spectacle. Because it's not about why you decided to make the video, it's about why people decide to watch it. And from my time being part of the audience for these kinds of videos, I can tell you that most of the audience is not interested in watching your video because you are holding people accountable for their wrongdoings. What they're interested in is the scandal, the gossip, the opportunity to indulge themselves in a harassment campaign against an acceptable target. Sometimes the only thing that makes somebody an acceptable target is a quote-unquote ugly art style. And although it is common practice to add an anti-harassment disclaimer at the beginnings of these kinds of videos, I feel like we all have this unspoken understanding that it's really only for appearance's sake, and so that the creator has plausible deniability if their viewers decide to go harass people named in the video, because it clearly doesn't stop anything. And building off of that, another thing I didn't like about the community at the time was the way that the viewers would treat the creators' opinions like gospel. We saw a lot of this during the Hopeless Peaches, Creepshow Art, Toby, Omnia, Kai, Prison Mate, Luke, whoever the fuck situation. I was one of these viewers, constantly changing my viewpoint depending on whose video I watched most recently, which, given my age at the time, I think was understandable, but I also think that my age was part of the problem, to be honest. A good portion of the audience for these kinds of videos were preteens and younger teenagers, who are notoriously impressionable. I remember thinking that I was somehow immune to this, but 4-ish years later, and I'm a very different person with very different opinions, and I can now see just how vulnerable I was to these creators' opinions on anything and everything. And if you watched any of these people's videos, you would know how damaging that could potentially be. And this next part, I didn't write into the script, so I'm just gonna sort of freestyle this. I got some notes in front of me. You do start to idolize these creators when all they do is call people out for immoral activities that sometimes were not even that bad. Being a young teenaged fan, you look to these creators for moral guidance, which can lead you to defending them from the most egregious of accusations even when they are clearly guilty of them. You tend to believe that their accusers are just lying or making mountains out of molehills. For example, I watched a video recently about Spoctor. I used to be a huge Spoctor fan back in the day, and I was there when he left YouTube, and I thought that I knew everything there was to know about him. I considered him the epitome of neutrality and commentary, and whenever he uploaded a video on something, it felt like I was listening to the only true Messiah tell me right from wrong. And maybe that's exaggeration, but it does occur to me as I'm speaking that what I'm describing here is like borderline a parasocial relationship. And I think that it would be suffice to say that a good portion of art commentary audience members had in fact formed parasocial relationships with their favorite commentators. That's really the only reason I can think of for why So many of us ignored all the wrongdoings of our favorite creators or brushed them off as lies or exaggerations. Anyways, back to Spoctor. Watching that retrospective on him years after his departure from the commentary space really recontextualized my memory of him. I think that as a younger teenager, I did not pick up on the undertones of a lot of things he said in his videos. I won't get specific, but I will say that where I used to celebrate him as being an impartial commentator, I now see he had a consistent issue of choosing the wrong words, to the point of it not really feeling like his choice of words was the actual issue, if you get what I mean. And this isn't even taking into consideration his actual crimes, rather than just his bad opinion crimes, which I will not be getting into in this video. I don't want this video misconstrued as me denouncing, or God forbid, canceling drama videos or commentary videos about heavier topics, even though I hold a certain disdain for many of them. They can be entertaining, and it has been human nature for all of recorded history to find entertainment in the sordid. They are also subsequently a great way to garner views and to grow your channel. And in the case of calling out actual predatory and harmful behavior, regardless of the inherent commoditization of somebody's unfortunate experience that making a video on that experience entails, it is undeniably an effective way to bring attention to somebody's misdeeds and warn people about a predator. It has oftentimes even resulted in getting the predator in question booted off the platform, but that does all hinge on the fact that the person being called out is an actual predator or abuser and not just somebody who has been kind of mean or had an argument with their friends in private, which is apparently difficult to distinguish within the commentary community and the internet as a whole, among other things. But like I said, I don't want this to come across as me telling you that you shouldn't watch or enjoy commentary videos, or that the people who make them are shittier than shit. I make commentary videos. I'll probably make a drama video at some point, even though I hate them, because that's just how you get views. I also do watch them, so I can't sit here and tell you to not watch them while I actively watch them. You know, that would be a little hypocritical and contrary to my beliefs. Hypocritical of myself. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that you need to be very careful about how you watch these videos and engage with these creators, especially so if you're on the younger side. You just need to remember that these YouTubers are people just like you, and just like you, they are not perfect. They are biased, they will lie and omit truths, they are shaped by their own personal experiences, and they can be just flat out incorrect or ignorant about anything under the sun. Just because they are adults with a lot of subscribers does not make them an authority on any sort of topic, and as an adult myself that interacts often with other adults of various ages, I can tell you that definitively. So, to summarize, do not base your opinions or moral standings off those of your favorite commentary YouTubers. Do not ignore the wrongdoings of your favorite commentary YouTuber just because they are your favorite commentary YouTuber. Do not take your favorite commentary YouTuber's word as gospel, and please do not start a commentary channel at the ripe old age of 16 because it will not be good, and you will be subjected to all manner of harassment and bullying that I only briefly touched upon in this video. Save yourself the headache and stick to speed paints and animation memes. Now that I've reached the end of this video, I want to go ahead and admit that I rushed this script. It's not the most well-formatted or organized thing I've ever written, but most of my videos are a stream of consciousness type thing anyway, so is it really that big of a deal? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this type of content, and leave a comment if you have any ideas, suggestions, or criticisms for my channel. Thank you so much, and goodbye.